Hello, and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy, episode 149 for the week of March 10th, 2014. I'm Ryan Higgins, who's here with me this week.
Brock Sager.
Omar.
And Charlie.
Hopefully Toby will be joining us here very shortly. Also, this week, very special guest from the realm of HeroClix.
Realms Open Championship, Rock.
Randy Garcia.
Hello, Randy.
The motherfucking champion.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Now, Randy is a longtime HeroClix player, good friend of Omar's, friend of the store, and we'll be talking about HeroClix later on the podcast, so don't worry, we'll talk about comic books here for a little while for all the HeroClix haters out there, because I know there's a few of you guys out there, but hey, you know, man, it's comic books, it's all related.
This is, more than anything, he's like my drinking buddy. We do happen to play HeroClix when we're drunk. So him, I'm just baffled that he's actually a champion. I don't think he's ever won anything in his life. Is that true?
That is not true.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll get the whole story here in a bit, but Randy, before you became the greatest HeroClix player on earth, you are maybe not a big modern comic fan, but you used to read some comics.
That's right.
So, as we like to do here on the Comic Conspiracy, have people give us their secret origin of how they kind of got into comics, what you read today or like today. If you watch the movies or TV shows or any of that stuff, you know, if you like any of the Marvel movies or anything, when you give us a little history of your backstory of comics and and how you got into HeroClix too, you could talk about that as well.
Okay, so yeah, I got into HeroClix obviously because of comics. Growing up, the comics I was into, superhero-wise, I was a big fan of the X-Men. I think because of that, I lean more towards Marvel. It was really big for me during, I think, early
a little closer. Perfect.
Early mid-90s, when Image was pretty huge.
Yeah.
Valiant Comics, Rob
Liefeld?
Oh yeah. You know, Young Blood. That was all the rage with me and my friends growing up.
Did you read much before? Did you kind of read anything when you were younger, or did you know comics from like the movies or cartoons or anything? Or?
Yeah, movies.
Okay.
You know, Keaton Batman.
Yeah.
You know, but there weren't really any Marvel movies back then. Other than I think was it Punisher?
Yeah, the old
with Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, that was Punisher.
Shit.
Yeah. So
literally shit.
Back then, movie-wise, yeah, Marvel wasn't too great, I don't think.
So what got you into reading the comics? Just because I mean, everyone was, right?
Art was cool,
okay.
yeah. You know, of course, superpowers. Who doesn't want to have cool superpowers? Yeah. All of that was really cool, and that's what got me into it.
From knowing this guy, being one of his like BFFs, I think more than anything, it's the exaggerated anatomy of women.
It was not really. It was the cool, strong, I guess, superheroes. Yeah. I think I really liked Wolverine because he just didn't give a fuck about things. He was this little tough guy who just did his own thing no matter what anybody told him.
Yeah.
And I kind of related to him and did my own thing.
Yeah, you're a little shorter, though.
Nice one, nice.
So I don't know what you know of the history of Image, but your experience is probably close to a lot of people's experiences. There was a lot of hype, a lot of people got into it, and then
it just
everyone died. Right,
yeah,
it died.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do, I mean, we talk about this all the time, but I mean, Image had the worst shipping schedule. All their creators left their own books within, you know, a couple issues, because none of them, you know, Jim Lee and Tom McFarlane couldn't actually do these books on a monthly basis, despite what they, you know, maybe did at Marvel. But, so yeah, it was just, you know, it was burned very, very bright, but not for very long. And that caused a huge collapse in the comic industry, with thousands of stores going out of business, not specifically because of Image, but the entire industry at that time. So did you get back into so when HeroClix started, kind of what got you into that? Do you read anything now? Did you kind of keep collecting anything as time went on, or do you check stuff out?
Yeah, I would follow certain artists. I was always a big fan of Jim Lee.
Yeah.
And then when he went over to DC to do Batman, the whole Hush thing, I was collecting certain issues, following certain artists, specifically Jim Lee. And I think, was it 2000 when HeroClix came out?
Yeah, 2002, I think, maybe.
So I just thought they were cool-looking figures.
Yeah.
I picked them up because at that time I would collect Marvel Legends as well. And I picked HeroClix up, not really wanting or being into big with the gaming thing. I just picked them up because I thought they were cool and just wanted to collect my favorite characters. And then started getting into that from there. During college, I stopped. I think it was like 2004. And then I came back recently because I saw Cards and Gaming, Bobby Shop down the street.
Game collector shop. Yeah.
Game collector shop. And
Used to be What's Hot. I think Ryan used to work there.
HeroClix changed because all of a sudden they have character cards that accompany the figures. And so it was kind of a little learning curve for me to get back into it because the whole mechanic changed with that.
Cool.
The funny thing about the funny thing about Randy is this dude is the most fucking OCD motherfucker I've ever met.
That's right. That's right.
I've ever met in my life. Like, he looks at these sculpts, he's like, oh, he looks at the eyes. I'm like, dude, how did you collect this shit back in the day? Because like now the paint jobs and the sculpts are so like nice, and they look almost like you can point out like an artist that they based it off of, and they take it straight from like panels and stuff. But back in the day, they're like all totally look like one eye's bigger than the other. They look like monsters, like the eye's about to fall out of the head. I'm like, dude, how did you collect back then?
Because it was just about your favorite characters.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, when I started playing, we got him in, the day it came out, and I opened up a pack, and I'm like, these are terrible. Like, this looks so dumb. Who would ever play this? And then I started playing with Marshall, one of our employees here, and a few other friends. And the next day, we went through every single case and pack we had. I mean, we just blew them all open. And like between us and a few customers, Scott and a few of the other guys, we just went through and we're like, okay, well, apparently this is going to be really big. And it was. It kind of died off towards the end a bit there. I think they just kind of shot themselves in the foot, and it wasn't.
Well, for a while,
was that when
they were coming out way too fast and reusing a lot of the same characters in every single set.
Yeah, well, now they come out crazy fast, but yeah,
Well,
I mean, it was a different game at the time.
They're kind of doing what I would call a little more. They're putting them out intelligently between sort of the drop boxes, and they're kind of capturing very much into the okay, we're going to do the Thor movie set versus just rushing out the next Marvel Thor theme set, and I think it leads to a little more. You collect which types of sets you want, and they've also expanded the licenses to like a crazy level. Just the amount of different properties that now have HeroClix.
Oh yeah,
I know. Brock was excited about getting your Tonto. Was it Tonto?
Validus?
No, your Tonto Lone Ranger HeroClix.
What?
I'm just fucking around.
They have them?
You're Johnny Depp.
Oh, yeah.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding.
want them, but
Sorry,
they have
I'm just kidding. Kimosabi.
Oh, okay.
I think when I got the Jonah Hex HeroClix, I was like, this was a gigantic mistake.
Yeah, right.
He's, all awful. Well, before we get to the real HeroClix talk, we got some questions, we got some emails, got one news thing I want to talk about. So we'll let you guys here. Listen to this. This is a nice email from Tyler that we got here, and Omar, I feel like you're going to have some stuff to say about this.
Sweet.
He says, hi, guys. I recently started reading comics a few months ago, mostly thanks to you guys. Us. Awesome. That's awesome.
I'm sorry.
I love hearing that. I jumped in with Batman Rejiggered 52. Yeah. The Forever Evil arc in Walking Dead. I was enjoying the books, but eventually found it hard for me to remember what had happened the prior month on Batman and Forever Evil. Well, Forever Evil makes sense because there were such bad delays with that book. And the multiple decades of history and continuity didn't make it any easier on me, but I kept reading. Then slowly I found myself gravitating towards a ton of Vertigo, Image, and indie stuff. I just found it easier to follow a more contained story. I also tried to read Blackest Night because, well, it's Blackest Night, but found it super confusing because I only knew about 25% of the characters showing up and knew none of the backstory.
Try reading Legion of Three Worlds.
Yeah, basically what I would like to hear from you guys covering the podcast is how decades of history and continuity could confuse new readers and what possible solutions there are for me to keep enjoying the superhero stuff. I'm currently reading Walking Dead, Sandman Saga, and FBP, Federal Bureau of... Physics. I totally thought it was psychics.
Bureau of Paranormal...
No, physics.
Oh,
physics. I thought it was psychics, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, oh, physics, not psychics.
This is a spin-off of, what's it called, right?
BPRD?
No.
That's
it was totally
that's what
different.
he was thinking.
No, it's the Vertigo book. It was called Collider, but they changed the name of it.
Yeah, like issue 2, they had already changed it.
I'm mixing it with something
It's
else.
basically a very sort of X-File-esque type thing where you have the specific organization that investigates pockets of space where the laws of physics are basically having issues.
Yeah, they're fluctuating, having problems don't exist.
Yeah.
Tyler finishes off here. He's hoping to try out Spawn, Invincible, Why the Last Man, and Fables, just to name a few. Any other suggestions would be great. Love the podcast. Keep up the awesome work, and thanks for everything. So
I have a hard time suggesting Spawn.
Just let him read it. Just let him get through it.
I think pick up the Spawn Classic trades. Read the first 2 or 3 volumes, get the first 30 or 40 issues, and then you're basically done because there's no point to read further. It doesn't go anywhere after that.
I was about to say, Spawn's still around?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Oh, yeah. It is the highest numbered comic book currently being published.
Wow.
Because Marvel and DC and everyone rebooted all their numbers. So.
And we don't count Archie comics?
Actually, wait. Well... No. You're right. No, Archie is much higher.
Yeah, Archie.
I know, but they don't come out very consistently. Archie's weird. They don't have a real regular publishing schedule these days for their traditional books.
Well, I mean, Archie is also coming. I mean, it comes
but they
out
are
in digest form. It comes out in
they
comic
are
form.
technically very much higher. So, we've discussed this before on the podcast with superhero books. There's a bit of dedication to them. You can kind of get into books. There are some Hawkeye. I would argue something like maybe the new Green Arrow title. Not that they're both archers, but they both have very similar sensibility. I think something like Batman is easy enough because Batman's Batman. You don't really need to know a lot of the backstory. I mean, most.
But he said he was having trouble. Tyler said he was having trouble with the Batman.
Yeah, but I mean,
no, he said with Blackest Night.
Well, he said Batman as well. He said Batman as well.
So I think the point that you're making about Green Arrow is spot on. But I think the details you're leaving out is to jump on where Lemire and Sorrentino jumped on. That's starting point.
What I'm saying is it's one creative team with one vision.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Right. And Batman has pretty much the same thing. I would argue the New 52 Batman is very approachable. Now, I don't know. I understand that he's having trouble between the issues, and that's, so maybe it won't work. But there are some books.
I just blame Zero Year.
If you read...
No, that's totally true.
Well, it could very well could be. If you're reading All New X-Men and you're reading... Green Lantern, and you're reading Avengers, you're going to have no idea what's going on because there's so many characters and so many ideas, and even Green Lantern, it's a 10-year history that they're trying to throw at you. So I understand that. To me, it's always kind of been, you just kind of get in, and if you like the characters, you will figure the story out eventually. You don't need to know everything. Worst case, you can go on Wikipedia, you can look in the forums. People will answer these questions. Who's this character? Okay, here's the backstory. All right, backstory. All right. It never was like that. Back in the day, you'd be like, who the hell is this guy? Oh, I don't know. Now it's really easy to find this info. But the book should also be given some sort of accessibility to them because you don't want it to be you don't want to explain nothing, because if you explain nothing, then all guys like Tyler here will not understand what's going on and may not come back to it. So you can't assume all your readers will go on Wikipedia to find a backstory. It's a tough balance.
I guess here's the way I kind of look at it: is Blackest Night is not necessarily I love Blackest Night. It's not necessarily the best example of something you can jump into without having read the Green Lantern stuff that built up to it, establishing the different cores and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's like the trilogy, right?
Yeah.
It sort of depends on what you're looking for. Like if you're looking to get to know a lot of different characters and that kind of stuff, in most cases I tend to suggest going back to the start of somebody's run on something. Like I don't think you'd have trouble with Blackest Night if you had read all of the stuff Johns had done pre-Blackest Night, setting it up.
Because much like Hawkeye and Green Arrow and everything, those books we did talk about, those books have set the precedent of what then comes, because they give you the start of the story and you go forward. It doesn't matter what happened prior.
For me,
Not
the experience, the experience that I had kind of with this was, like I brought up Legion of Three Worlds from Final Crisis. I hadn't read any Legion before, and I had picked up this book, and I was reading it, and I was confused as shit with all the characters that are in it, because, it takes the Legion, which is already huge, and then adds two more Legions.
Two multiple versions of them, yeah.
So, I went back, and I read some of the Paul Levitt stuff, and I read the Mark Waid stuff, and then I actually went back and reread Legion of Three Worlds, and it made a lot more sense. But there was enough of an interest there for me to go in and try, Waid's run and some of Paul Levitt's his good work, like the what am I blanking on the title? The Dark Side one.
Great Darkness Saga.
Yeah, Great Darkness Saga. Thank you. And I also did it after reading Crisis on Infinite Earths, because there are so many characters in that you get to this point where it's kind of an overload, but you get through it. And actually, reading Crisis gave me kind of this desire to read more stuff, and. So I read 52, started getting into other characters, and what happens is you start just absorbing more information, And it's the further you go absorbing information, the easier it kind of gets.
Right, but you still have to have this base interest in it.
Yeah.
I think for most people, starting with an independent book with a creator, you're going to have a consistent creative team, one vision, one direction, and more than likely an ending. That's why I always recommend a lot of stuff from Image, a lot of stuff from Vertigo as people's early or first comics, because you are given a complete story and one you can follow from start to finish.
But to jump on that, what you're saying too about independent books, you come in, there's like a singular story, and it doesn't really crosshatch into too many books. You can go into reading some of these creative guys that still do both works. Like, again, the point of Jeff Lemire, what he does, what Greg Hortz does for Dark Knight, for Rick Remender's Uncanny Avengers story, it doesn't connect to anything.
But Uncanny Avengers is so convoluted with previous history of these characters.
No, I wouldn't say it's history of characters. I say it's connected to Uncanny X-Force.
Which is why I was going to say it's not.
Uncanny Avengers has Kang and Immortus. There's no way to explain that to someone who hasn't read these books before. And Apocalypse and the Twins. Like, there's no way to read Uncanny Avengers. It's like Avengers as well. I think Avengers is not a good book to read for someone who doesn't know these characters.
Okay, and so what I'm saying is similar to Charlie said, is without getting Uncanny Avengers, you have to read Uncanny X-Force, because it talks all about Apocalypse. It talks about the whole history of the Apocalypse and Sabunar and Kid Apocalypse, Wolverine actually killing him as a kid and all that kind of shit, which then leads to where we are with Uncanny Avengers and the rift between Captain America and Logan, which is never really been the case for a long time. It's always been there, but they've always had this kind of like deep connection, loyalty to each other.
Well, they fought in World War II together. So.
Yes, of course. Yeah, they're bros.
I think. I mean, going back to is it Taylor?
Tyler.
Thank you. His problem with Batman, I think, Charlie hit it on the head with it. Zero Year kind of screwed all of that up. And again, it's what we've talked about before, where some books need kind of either a refresher page at the beginning or need to be coming out on a more regular basis.
Well, I think Marvel's double shipping and 18-a-year shipping helps keep the book fresh in people's minds. I don't know if we'll see DC try this in the future. It doesn't sound like it. But his suggestions of book that he's reading: Walking Dead, Sandman, Saga, Wants to Read Invincible, Y, Fables. Those are perfect books to read for someone like this.
But if you're going to go to superheroes, I mean, not to keep beating a dead horse, but I just started the most current run on Thor, and I think that's very approachable if you like the Thor movies at all, especially. And then just to get back to what we were talking about before with like Batman Hush, All-Star Superman, there's a lot of good self-contained stories out there that are well available in trade that are great reads to just sort of...
I think people have a general understanding of who Superman is, of Batman's rogue gallery. So a book like Hush is an example of a book that you don't need a backstory for, because even if you've only ever seen the 60s TV show, you know who all these characters are, or you are introduced to the new character throughout the course of the series. No one else has ever seen this character either, so it's a brand new character.
Yeah. Cool. So can I get a recommendation from each of you guys for someone who's trying to get back into comics, or someone who hasn't been following with the history of what's been going on? What would you guys recommend for someone to get back into it without having to go back several years into backstories?
I'll start. Anything Mark Waid right now. So right now it's Daredevil and Indestructible Hulk.
Nice. Well, Hulk's about to relaunch Hulk with Mark Bagley, so maybe
well,
not.
No, you're gonna read all the other good stuff before that when it was done by artists that are not named Mark Bagley.
Read the Daredevil stuff. Daredevil's fantastic, and I think Daredevil is so much Matt Murdock that I think you could. There's not really a lot in there that isn't explainable within the context of the story. Guys like Haymonger and you have like the Legion of Monsters and all that, but they're all explained well within the story. It's not like some last page like, oh, this villain from the past, but like, no, they kind of give you an idea of who all these characters are going forward. Brock.
Oh, I know Charlie was about to go.
Well, I was just going to say a large part of that depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for what I would call more street level characters, then I would definitely go for like Daredevil or maybe even the new Black Widow, since that's just a couple issues in.
Good call.
If you're looking more for traditional sort of like superheroes, then I would probably go more towards like Thor, or if you're willing to go back to like the beginning of New 52, just like the early Snyder Batman stuff within New 52 with the Court of Owls and all that would be a very good place to sort of jump on. And
I would say one of the best would be Earth 2, just because nobody knows what the story is. Earth 2 is an alternate reality DC universe, and the story is completely just its own thing. So so Superman's bad, and Lois Lane is a robot, and all this crazy shit's going on, and you would have if you know it, it's almost more confusing. Yeah. And if you don't know it, it's like, cool, okay, these are just characters. I don't know. I have no context for what these characters should or shouldn't be. Yeah. So it's almost a great book for someone who really doesn't know a lot about these characters. And
it's just a great book in general.
It is. And if you know them, you're like, whoa, this is so out of left field. This is so different. So it's a refreshing take on the characters.
Yeah, I think, Ryan, you said earlier, Green Arrow with Lemire, where Lemire starts, issue
17?
17? Yeah. So, I mean, that's
16, 17?
Yeah, that's good stuff to start with. It kind of really depends on where you're coming from. Like, if you want a superhero team, if you want this. So, right now Flash I think is accessible with the last few issues. You don't need to necessarily what's been going on before. It's a good kind of starting point for at least this new story arc for a Flash story to see if you like Flash.
I would say if you pick up the Flash and like it, you might as well see everything that Manapul did. And
you can go back, but now is a good starting point.
It's a very good fresh starting point, but also carries over very well from what was going on before.
And I mean, if you want to kind of have some fun with history and stuff, even in like the New 52, check out All Star Western. Just because it's its own thing, but it's set in Western, in like the late 18 or 1900s.
Well, when it first started, it was.
Yeah, but we don't need to get there yet. But it's kind of a fun thing where you're in the DC world when there's no Superman and no Batman and none of these characters exist. But
that's nothing like, what was it, 1902?
1602?
1602? Nothing like that.
No.
Okay.
No. This is basically before the New 52. They had a Jonah Hex book, so they just turned it into All Star Western, but it's still basically just a Jonah Hex book.
But it's a really great read. It's fun. I mean, it ties into things that are going on in like Batman.
They've done a very, very good job of planting the seeds in history in that book for stuff that can sort of be carried forward in the current books.
Yes, but again, if you don't read the current books or you don't know anything about Batman, the story is perfectly readable as well because you don't have to know who any of these characters are.
But it's a good, like Charlie said, launching point. Like Court of Owls is featured in it, so you might be, Court of Owls, Batman did that. Or the Black Diamond Probability, which is, sort of Amethyst and Catwoman and that Team 7.
Yeah, it was all over the place.
Got canceled.
Well, Sandman's another perfect example of a book he's reading that does that as well. It takes a lot of elements from the DC universe. He uses it, but if you don't know who they are, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
All right, you got another email here from Eduardo, and then we'll do a few Twitter questions. It says, greetings. Jennifer Blood is coming to an end over at Dynamite. I think it actually just wrapped up. I love the series, although I've only read up to the late teens. I plan on restarting the entire run, including the First Blood miniseries prequel, finishing it up for the last issue. Did any of us read the series? If so, thoughts? Also, can you recommend any other Dynamite book? It says, I currently love Red Sonja and occasionally pick up Vampirella. 90% of my pull list is DC, with X-Men being my only Marvel book. So there you go. I read the first arc on Jennifer Blood when Garth Ennis was doing it, but I didn't follow up after he left, so it was okay. But I didn't keep reading. So anyone else?
I didn't read Jennifer Blood, but I mean, just in terms of Dynamite, the Masks miniseries was really, really
You like
good.
that, huh?
Yeah, I did. I like that a lot, and they've done a lot of good stuff with The Shadow and...
I didn't. The only thing, so Dynamite does mostly licensed comics at this time. They do a few original
stuff,
good
pulp stuff.
But it's almost all licensed stuff. The ones I'm really looking forward to: Turok, Magnus Solar, and Dr. Spectre. So Turok just started.
And
Magnus
that's been really good so far.
Is this week? These are all old Gold Key comics that used to be published under Valiant, and now are being published under Dynamite as kind of their own line.
Well, that's what we forgot to mention. Valiant Comics. Like all of those are virtually easy to get into,
and they're all superheroes, mostly superhero stuff. Yeah. So yeah.
But again, start from the beginning on those. If you try to jump in with anything going on now, you'll.
Yeah. So there's a few good This is a few good
tweets.
Yeah, a few good things here. We usually do. Sometimes we do.
Are we bringing back random picks this time?
Sometimes, if we have enough time. We'll do some random picks. Let's see. We got time for maybe one or two of these. Here's from Joshua. It says, would any of you ever pay for a digital comic service like Marvel Unlimited? And what is the price point that you'd buy in? Marvel Unlimited, for those who don't know, is kind of the Netflix of Marvel. It's $100 a year, I think. It's $10 a month, $100 a year. They're doing like a 99-cent month trial right now.
Yeah, and I know they also tried giving away a membership if you bought Thor 2 from Walmart or something.
Yeah.
Target, Walmart, wherever.
I think it's a great idea, but the much like Netflix, the selection leaves a lot to be desired. If it was a complete collection of every Marvel comic from 1939 or 1940, whenever Marvel #1 was published, to a year ago, because it's about 6 months back, I think. I'd be totally fine with that. I'd be like, yes, down, awesome. This is awesome. It's a reference forever. But it's so spotty. It's miniseries that aren't complete. It's a lot of stuff missing. I think for real recent stuff, it's okay. But going back to the old stuff, it's still so far off. If it was, I don't know, $20 a year, $30 a year, maybe at current I'd pay it, but the $100 is way out of the price range. I'd pay $100 if it was everything. I'd pay $100 a year easily if it was like every comic.
I think for me, I would probably be like, I would probably use it as if I was needing reference for something and I couldn't find it on an easy basis. I'd pay the monthly payment and then go check out those issues that I needed to check out if it was a complete, kind of catalog. But if it wasn't a complete catalog, I mean, even paying the I wouldn't think of paying $10, but I wouldn't keep it going every month. I would kind of only pay for it 1 month and then be like, well, I'm done. I don't need anything else right now. So,
but like Netflix, it's like just having it there, kind of just always paying. And it's always accessible.
But I think another difficult thing is like if I wanted to go back and reference like maybe 8 comics out of the Marvel, back catalog,
it's not worth it.
Is it really worth it to pay $10, or is it just easier to be like, I'll just buy them digitally and then I can read them whenever I want?
Yeah,
and it's like, so I think that the cheaper price point is better because you kind of just get people that sign up and be like, well, it's not that much money, I'll just keep doing it because I have access to this. Whereas if you go to a higher price point, people are kind of just like, why don't I just buy the issues on Comixology, then I have them whenever I need them.
Yeah.
Because it's not like I'm going to sit down and read all of X-Men.
Yeah. Oh, you can.
I mean, you could.
Yeah.
Well, not
This is
right
Joshua?
now, but
Yeah.
What's up, Joshua? Yeah, I mean, if you've heard me before, I'll say it again. I'm all about the paper. I like touching. I like touching things. I like going through my archives. I like pulling out the books from the Mylar and the tape, and then sometimes having to retape it because sometimes people do the tape across rather than down because that's just more difficult to open.
You're a heathen. If you
Talking about OCDs.
If you tape across and not down, you've got to learn how tape works.
I tape angled.
I tape across myself, but it got to the point where I would buy the self-adhesive bags.
Yeah.
So
No one likes those, bro.
Those are the worst. God.
Joshua's got one more question here.
Seal them away.
This is going to be Omar's favorite question of the night. It is a classic around whatever, and then the internet. I'm sure it has made this into crazy stuff here. So you have 3 options, and you have to put these 3 categories. You have to put these 3 things in these 3 options. Which one do you marry? Which one do you F, as the kids say?
Okay.
And which one do you kill? Arrow, DC comic movies, including animated, and the Marvel comic movies, including animated. Oh, he didn't say including animated. This is also from Joshua, so this is a good question. The Marvel movies, DC movies,
So which one would we?
and Arrow.
Which one
I'm going to
would
lump Flash into that Arrow as well.
Which
so.
one will we spend the rest of our lives enjoying? Which one will we hump, and which one will we just do away with?
Yeah, you never heard marry, F, and kill?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
I know.
there you
I've
go.
heard it.
There you
I'm gonna marry all the DC movies and animated because those are my favorite shit. I'm gonna F the hell.
You're gonna marry Man of Steel?
Huh? Well, no, that's only one. That's only one. I mean, if you think about
Nice,
that's
nice.
I
the one
love
think
Man of Steel, but Omar hates
That's not
it,
the one I
so-
think of.
Hey.
All I think about is DC animated.
Omar.
Man of Steel, I didn't even think about that. I
Omar.
forgot it was a DC movie. I
Every-
think about I think
Every
about Dark
marriage has
Knight.
its problems.
I think
Hey,
about
it's I almost said it's Omar. It's Toby. It's happening, Toby. He's coming.
sorry, he's got a key. I will F the hell out of Marvel movies like in every direction, every shape, every form. It's like, yeah.
Just to get the nut off.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It's something that we've never really experienced ever in comics. You know, the fanboys are stoked about it, that we get to see something that actually, we can flip in the pages and we can see something that's actually beyond our imagination. Similar to, like, say, Game of Thrones, you know, how they pull off TV better than even the books do. And of course, I would just kill the fuck out of Arrow. I'm so tired of watching all this hentai shit. You know, and me, I'm from San Francisco, so I'm not all
hentai.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, it's like the gayest shit I've seen ever. Like, it's like I'm watching like Oxygen.
What?
Yeah,
Right,
it's like I'm watching Oxygen TV.
Toby, turn your mic on.
You mean lifestyle?
I'm putting you,
something like that.
I'm putting you on the spot here. You ready?
Okay.
Okay. You know the game Marry, F, and Kill?
No.
Do you not?
No.
You never heard this?
No.
So it's a popular game. You have three options: one that you would marry,
Okay.
one that you would fuck,
Okay.
and one that you would kill.
Okay.
And the options are Arrow, DC comic movies, including animated, and Marvel comic movies, including animated. What's your answers? Which will you love and be with forever? Which will you just have? Which do you just want raw? And which would you kill? You're late, so you get thrown on the spot here.
For DC what? Properties?
DC Arrow.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to throw Flash into that, even though it hasn't come out yet. I know it's going to be great. DC comic movies and live action and animated, and Marvel comic movies, live action and animated.
Marvel?
Yeah.
I will kill Marvel. I will...
Real over all the current stuff? Oh, you're not a fan of really the Marvel movies, though, are you?
No.
Like some of them.
I like some of them.
Yeah.
I guess I'll fuck all the half-naked men on Arrow. Yeah. And marry the cartoons, of course, because for some reason they haven't let me down yet. Not for some reason. They've just been doing a good
the
job
animated
at
movies?
it. Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm pretty sure, as much as I love Arrow, my answer would have to be the same as Omar's. Because the DC movies are just...
Oh, I didn't know they were on the table.
They are. Yeah, no, yeah. DC movies, animated
whatever.
and live
This
action.
is a weird question.
It's
as
close
it is.
enough. You're close enough.
Yeah.
You're close enough.
Hold up. When you're going to DC just movies, other than Batman, Nolan's Batman, what else are you talking about?
I have Man of Steel, Green Lantern, the
Keaton Batman that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like,
that's a classic. I'm
Superman.
currently.
Constantine.
Yeah, but this
Man of
would be
Steel.
kill everything.
Yeah.
This would...
I would marry the animated before all the movies, similar to what Toby is.
No,
is
but
pointing out.
they're all lopped together, though. You're taking
Yeah,
that
so it's
with.
for that reason I
Yeah.
take it along with Nolan's Batman. Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta marry Marvel. That would be my wife. Mistress would be the DC, and I don't even watch Green Arrow. So yeah,
It's so good. Arrow's so good.
It's so G. It's
you
it's not
watch-
OOD. It's AY.
Did you watch last week's episode?
No, why would I?
It is the best episode. Well, we can actually. This is a great segue to talk about last week's episode of Arrow.
Whenever I watch Arrow, I feel like I'm watching what is that? Not Brazers. What is that one porn company that does all the parodies of the movies? You know what I'm talking about, Toby.
All the
You
superhero
jack
porn
off.
parodies.
Is it Vivid?
No. Well, they did one.
Very close.
Anyway.
Yeah, but you jack off too. High five.
Anyway. If you don't watch Arrow, or if you cautious
It's a
of
title with
spoilers,
triple X in the title.
Yes,
if you're
exactly.
cautious of spoilers, give us about 5 minutes here. We're going to talk some Arrow spoilers for a minute here. Because, Omar, get on
No,
this
thank you.
bandwagon.
No. Dude,
Last
even
week-
Lori.
sell me, Ryan. Why should I watch Arrow?
So, did you watch any of it?
Not one episode.
Okay.
Do you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
If you're into the comic movies, Arrow has done a great job of taking as good as action can get on the budget that a show like this can have.
All right. Let me rephrase.
You can't go into looking at like Avengers, right?
Yeah.
Or the Nolan films.
Yeah. Let me rephrase. Do you watch Justice League Unlimited?
The cartoon?
Yeah.
Of course.
This is like a live action version of it.
It's getting there.
Okay.
It's
See?
getting there.
See?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
getting there. It started off
You gotta
kind
make
of
it simple. You gotta
Yeah,
make
sure.
it simple.
It
You gotta
started off
simplify
small.
things.
That sold me right there.
Yeah, see, here's what happens. It started off small, right? Arrow started off just Arrow, Green Arrow running around doing his
Let
own
me
thing.
translate. Justice League just started with the Justice League members.
I was going to say it started with like Batman the Animated Series.
Right, exactly.
And then,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It was good.
Even better. Yeah.
But what they've done into the end of season 1 and now through season 2 is they're slowly started adding the supporting characters, and last week's episode finally was the kind of the big, it wasn't the fight is coming up, this is the big like meeting before the fight where the villain and Arrow and all his buddies have like that tense moment where they can't actually do anything, but they're all face to face with each other, and they're just going through the little chess moves in their brain, and then like the next couple episodes is going to be the fight.
It's almost the entire season and a half has been a setup.
It's been a setup for this episode. Wow. Yeah. This is
not to mention like the next couple of episodes are specifically being pulling in other comics, sort of like Birds of Prey is one of the episode titles.
So
Suicide Squad is
next
one of the
episode, Suicide
titles.
Squad. The one after Birds of Prey.
So you get this sort of like character build-up as the show is going on, and you're introduced to Roy Harper, who is Arsenal or Red Arrow. You're introduced to a new take on Black Canary. So you kind of get these ones building. This was the episode where they finally kind of all came together at once, and it was hands down the best episode of the season.
Yeah.
Just so great. All the backstory, it has flashbacks. So if you're a fan of Lost or anything like that, there's all this flashbacks to islands, which sells me every time.
So there's no bias here because you're a DC fan.
No, I mean the first handful of episodes. I mean, I wasn't even watching weekly. I was like, it's okay. I mean, I liked it, but it was kind of not really going anywhere. And then as season 1 starts kind of rolling on, they really, I was like 4 or 5 episodes back at one point. They finally starts to kind of click, and it just takes off after that. And into the end of season 1, it just gets so good. And this last season has been nonstop from episode 1. And yes, the CW knows its target audience of a lot of women. So there's a lot of half naked Stephen Amell. The guy
that doesn't sit with me. So,
but it's like the least gay way to do it. It's totally like for the women. It's not in like you watch it and you feel like this is okay to watch. Like I'm not. This is fine.
I mean, it's totally straight. I don't feel like that, but okay.
It's totally straight.
Here's the way I look at it. If you've ever watched wrestling or any of that kind of stuff where it's all about the physicality, like yes, he may have his shirt off, but he's doing the salmon ladder kind of workout training where it's more, he's not standing around with his shirt off, he's literally working out with his shirt off in very physical
but for some
ways.
reason they work out a lot,
and he's sweating and he's dripping and he's looking at you like this, and he's going,
and he's hanging from the ceiling and dropping down.
You're not getting like he's getting out of the shower and putting towel around him at shots. He's working out and like coming off of a workout, and then something is happening in the show. It's not like they're purposely trying to say, oh, here's a half-naked man.
Yeah, it's not 5 minutes of it.
From what Ryan was saying, though, it sounds as if they got more female fans than
but
male.
The best thing is there's
which is not a bad thing.
There's a character in there named Felicity Smoke who's always when he's doing it. So it's kind of like you watch her reaction to him versus what he's doing,
and it makes you think inside about whether I really do like men. And wow,
Omar's still figuring that out.
Omar's just jealous he can't do a salmon ladder.
Well, anyway, so this last episode of Arrow.
I do a lot of salmon. I love that shit.
This last episode of Arrow, so good. Oh my, just watch it. You don't have to watch anything else. Just watch the last
You guys are all my
episode.
friends around the table, and I tried watching the last 6 episodes of fucking shit before the last one. I'm not going to watch anymore because I have value for my own time. We all have different things that we enjoy.
Sure, of course,
none of you guys like Wu-Tang Clan, besides Toby on the table.
I was going to say what?
I love
Clan to the friend. Clan to the friend.
Exactly. So I can appreciate the Smiths and the Cure, whatever the fuck. But you know what I mean. It's not something I listen to fucking 24 hours.
Omar's just name dropping. He don't know.
Okay, for the record, I don't think there was any shirtless guys in the last episode.
Yes, there was
Who?
Toby remembers.
Roy Harper was training.
He's all. It's
It stinks my eyes.
I remember it clearly.
Watching the episode, I was like, "Oh fuck, there he is."
He's all just buffered to 638.
Okay. With this whole build-up, is Deadshot going to be in it?
Yeah,
He's already in it.
He's been in the show numerous times, and he's going to be part of Suicide Squad next week.
Yeah. It's such a good episode. So wait, is there no episode this week?
Better not be. Is it next week?
I
No.
think they skipped this week.
Really?
Yeah, Brock was saying that they're skipping this week for some reason.
Now, how many of you guys
I
think
don't know.
Harley's in the
Well,
next episode?
100%. They totally showed her in that trailer.
Yeah, that's her, right?
It has to be.
Yeah.
See, I question whether or not.
Because it'd be a cock tease if it's not
In
her.
the trailer, they
Because
straight
that's
up
a small
show.
little thing to do,
they
is to
str-
show something, go, oh, it's not her.
They straight up show Harley Quinn. Like, her skin is like
Yes.
like white, basically. She's got
My-
the
She got the
hair.
black fingernails.
The
Yeah.
No face,
only
though, no face.
reason,
They didn't show the face.
The only reason why I am
Even if it's just a tease. Even
exactly, it's
not
the,
a full-
I would not be surprised if they don't specifically name her. At
right.
Oh, that
most
someone could
specifically,
die?
You might see the HQ initial somewhere or something.
Yeah.
Or they
But
might say just Quinn.
with the Gotham show in production and the way Warner Brother is uber retarded about not wanting to use a character here, if they're using a character like
But Harley's, I think, a character that you could take away from Gotham specifically.
Yeah, you could, because I mean the Gotham is the Gotham show is being set in the past. and
she
this
would be
is-
younger than
yeah,
she'd
she
be like
wouldn't even
she wouldn't be born at this
yet.
point. Yeah.
the only thing I'm basically arguing in terms of this just has to go back to Justice League Unlimited and that kind of stuff, where they pulled away all of Batman's rogues gallery because he had the Batman
right,
TV
right,
show
right.
at the
Well,
time.
I hope we're past that.
It's been this constant sort of thing with the, well, we can't do this because we have these movies in production, or we have this TV show in production, or like
Now-
they're always uber.
Here's my little tidbit, and it'd be super nerdy if they pull this off and super awesome, is the first appearance of Oracle was in Suicide Squad. What if first appearance of Oracle and Arrow is on the Suicide Squad app, leading into Falling Birds of Prey episode?
It very
That'd
well
be
could be.
badass.
Well, I mean, Felicity is Oracle. In all but
Oracle.
but that she plays the same role.
Yeah,
In
but what if
Arrow,
Suicide
she's
Squad
Oracle.
has their own Felicity, which is
Yeah,
Oracle?
that could be. That'd be awesome.
I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be badass if they pull this one off.
Yeah.
Especially since the next episode right after is Birds of Prey.
Right.
I really can't wait
Wow.
for DC to come out with actually a movie after Batman Superman flops that so that you guys can just enjoy good DC stuff rather than dealing with this like bullshit ass property on the CW that feels like we should all just watch Days of Our Lives together
Did you watch the
and hold each other's
two-parter?
hands.
Did you watch the 2 and Flash episodes?
Yes, I did.
So good.
Not really.
Oh my
I think it. You know what? I think
It was so
is.
sappy. It's fucking like gold. It's like fucking any show. Name any of those girly shows that Gilmore Girls. I don't know. What else?
Gilmore
watch
Girls
Gilmore
is a really
Girls.
good written show.
I think Omar
No.
just can't handle those TV Now
Hold
commercials.
up, why is Omar still watching this if he hates it so much?
Well, the Gilmore
not.
Girls is actually watchable because all the chicks are pretty hot.
Arrow.
Arrow? No.
The writing on Gilmore Girls is superb.
Anyway, go watch Arrow.
It was.
No thanks.
Arrow's great.
Don't
Go watch
worry.
Arrow.
A lot of the listeners won't listen either.
Well,
Can we segue into S.H.I.E.L.D.?
if you want to. Does anyone here watch
Who
it?
watches Shield anymore?
That last episode was the best one all season long, easily.
What is best?
So
mean, though?
a 4 out of 10.
No,
Okay, there- sounds all right.
No, I tell you up front right now. Look,
Hater.
I had my promise with the cast, which this episode, Sky was on her deathbed, so they didn't have her in the episode. They split up the two scientists, so they weren't as annoying. They brought in, is it Garrett? Garrett? Well, what's his face? From Torchwood, I think he is. They brought an older actor in, which legitified the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents right away because he's older and he knows what he's doing. Everything was just better.
Toby's Nordic. He's not doesn't talk like Yoda normally. That's just the way he talks.
No, I usually talk like Yoda. No, it was well done.
I have heard the last episode of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It was
good.
really, really well
I've
done.
got like 10 episodes in my queue. I'm going to watch
It didn't have a whole lot of Ward, and the the Asian chick that's flying the plane was really quiet.
Asian chick.
Yeah, they could just I could do with this new cast or
Go.
half a new cast.
Big question. Would you rather get with the girls from Arrow or S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Probably Arrow.
Toby's thinking really hard
I
on
don't
this.
know.
All right. Well, something equally as awful as Arrow. Hero clicks. Okay.
Okay.
Let's hear about it, Omar.
I don't know. I don't know if it's awful.
I'm
I'm pretty
joking.
sure it makes some good money for your store.
I'm joking.
So,
I'm joking. Why don't you, in a non-Omar tradition, give us some explanation of who you did at the store this last week,
Well,
and give us some backstory. Explain who your friend is here, and explain
Randy, hey,
exactly.
You're here for a reason.
Why he's here.
Well, we have an exclusive interview with the Rock, 2014 champ of the Bay Area. We've never had one before.
Hey.
Actually, you've never had a Rock in the Bay Area. There's actually only 3 of these Realms.
And like I said, some sort of explanation.
Okay, so Realms Open Championship.
Okay, and what is that?
Super Qualifier. It's something that's run by HC Realms, which has over about 500,000 users. It's the primary.
What is HC Realms?
HC Realms is the big fan forum website for HeroClix.
It is the HeroClix website.
It's the HeroClix website, but not managed by WizKids.
Right.
So it's for the most part kind of like any type of like forum that
Fubu,
people.
right?
It's the Reddit or NeoGAF of
Exactly.
HeroClix.
So HC Realms and TCGplayer.com work together. TCGplayer.com is one of the bigger online gaming sites for tabletop gaming. They partnered together and delivered on something that WizKids has not really been able to do. WizKids is really good about making product and pushing product and making money and selling it, having different type of product out every other month or every month, usually every other month. But they're not really good at delivering on having great tournaments. They do have, prize support for, having monthly things,
local stuff,
here. Yeah. But what HC Realms and TCG Players does is they actually have they go all over the world through different shops, and they partner and create a way to have. First of all, HC Realms is just the biggest place to go to on the web if you want to learn anything about HeroClix. You want to talk on forums and do trades and all that kind of stuff. That's really the biggest resource I've used in the past 4 years since I started playing, to learn about the game, to talk with other people that have a passion of the game. And so now they're delivering on something that WizKids was not able to do, which is to create more competitive tournaments. And they do it all around the world. This is their second year, but this is the first time they're actually delivering on doing it. And they almost have 5 tournaments a week, almost every day of the week through the rest of the year. We had in California, there was one maybe 3 months ago in SoCal, or it's SoCal, Central California, at a shop called Majestics. And it's a huge shop. They usually have about 100 players. We had about 7 of their players come here. Of those players, in the top 16, we probably had about 5 players place. And Randy, who's sitting next to me, he beat them all.
I did. True story.
So
I think
what was the setup here? How many players you have? What was the turnout? Give us the lowdown.
On the average, we usually have, for basic local tournaments, we have about 8 to 15 people. We had tonight, it was at capacity. We had 33 players. There should have been 35, and we had about 42 people in attendance.
So we had a bunch of onlookers and employees and people hanging out. And
there was
girlfriend.
Everyone had their table talkers, the people that come over and try to
hype man?
either their hype man or try to distract the opponent. So that's always cool to see. It's an element of the game that's not really celebrated, but it's just shit talking. When you're playing hoops on the side,
flavor play?
Yeah, exactly. You're playing hoops on the court, and you have some of your friends just watching, and they're talking ooh, exactly.
So was it a one out in your? Or is it a?
No, it was not one elimination. We did 5 rounds.
Okay.
We started at 6:30 and we ended at 1:30.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was
stuffed a lot of people in here.
Night. It was a long fucking night, and I'm glad it's over. But we had a great time. So going back to what I said earlier, some of the top players, come out of this hotbed of gaming of the shop called Majestics.
Oh, we had people fly in or from out of state, and people come in from out of the area for this.
Yes.
Because what is the prize on this? Why are people coming here for this?
For the most part, it's not even so much. I won't say it's the prizes. It's playing the top tournament, playing the top competition.
But what is the grand prize?
The grand prize is getting access to Dragon Con, which is the one-all championship of all of the HC Realms, TCG Player, ROC, Realms Open Championship. People just refer to it as ROC.
The first round buy.
Yeah, you get a first round buy. So first round buy means you don't have to play you just go right into the second round.
Yeah, you can show up, check out the competition, relax, waive your points and competitors' faces saying that, you're the champion, you won your local event, and you're here to continue doing that.
Yeah, so this is an invite to the finals, basically.
There's probably like 5 rounds of that, but you get a bye on the first round. So, Randy, enough of me talking, or even Ryan talking. What about you? You're here. You're sitting down here. What was the big draw for you, and how was the experience for you playing?
It was awesome. The fact that I just did my thing, I played my game. The fact that people were coming, they were building to win. Obviously, I built to win, but I built within my game. I played a name theme team.
What is a name theme team?
I was going to say you did something that probably no one else here actually did. So for people that aren't familiar with how the game works, give them maybe a little understanding of playing to win and then what you did.
Okay, so we were just talking about this earlier. I was talking about this with Omar, and he was talking about gamer type players.
The metagame.
Yeah, in which I'd say most of the people playing that night they were all gamers. They build teams to win, and
the best pieces.
Exactly. The best pieces. It doesn't matter. So of course they got Marvel clicks, DC clicks. They got Hobbit. They got video game and card game clicks now, but I don't think those were involved. I don't like to mix universes, so I like to play name themes, and it's more fun that way. It's more competitive because you're more constricted. When you're with generic keywords,
like mystical, mystical was probably the most popular. There was like seven of the 33 teams that played.
So for people that don't understand, you were playing what they kind of like to refer as a comic accurate team. So you
in a sense,
but you were not playing Spider-Man and Batman and I'm just picking names out of my ass,
That's right,
Lucifer,
Ryan.
right? Like you're not playing these random guys just because
it's so easy to do.
Their powers
it's easy
together.
to look at a set of clicks or clicks in general and say what pieces are overpowered. How can I mix this with another click and feed off of it just to rape other players?
You were more worried about the characters and the bases.
I played what I like.
Exactly.
I frown upon that because, like I said, it's easy. You know,
we have a couple guys.
Anybody can take the best players. Sports, for instance. Let's get the best players and put them on a dead ringer team. Yeah, exactly.
Heat.
The Miami Heat, LeBron James. Let me get my LeBron James. Let me get my what have you, and put them together so I could win, right? And like I said, anybody could do that. It's easy. I played my game because that's. It's more challenging. It's more challenging. No, I was the Pacers. Yeah, Indiana Pacers. And like I said, it's more challenging and it's more fun because when you have somebody putting together a team that's out for blood, it's not fun. Obviously, they're there to win, which is the name of the game, but it takes away the fun and the camaraderie of playing the actual game.
There was camaraderie tonight. Brock, as a non-player, and you've never really attended any of our games before or any of our tournaments, what did you think of the vibe of the night?
I mean, people were excited to play. I mean, they were definitely into the games. I mean, as the games were being played, everyone was very focused. Everyone was very, in kind of their own world at each map that they were playing or location they were playing at. So you didn't really get too much of people kind of wandering around and not really caring, or there were a lot of, screaming or whatever. I mean, people shook hands afterwards, and said good game and that was a good team that, like they had fun while they were playing. And I think that's an important thing too, especially with stuff like this, is that you still need to have kind of a respect for one another and just it's at its core, you're just wanting to have fun.
For sure. One of my favorite moments, I think, was when Bryce, one of the guys that got me into this game, who was competing, and he attended our last year's big tournament, and he was like, he rage quit because he was like, fuck this shit, I'm out of here. But it was definitely a dirty tournament. Like, it was very dirty. Like, you had people playing the mixes of everything. There was no real constraints, and we learned from that.
And that's exactly what I was talking about. It's not fun.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you won it.
Me too.
Yeah. So Bryce and one of my other buddies, Paul, who plays a lot in the whole Bay Area circuit. I said time. I started time, and they're like, "Hey, is there any more beer here?" I was like, "No," and they went to go walk to the liquor store and get a sixer together. That just made me fucking almost want to cry.
That's awesome.
So, I mean, also what was cool too, okay, we pointed out that there was other players like some SoCal. Just look at the top 16 players, which is a breakdown like, half of the top tournament. There was, again, 5 from SoCal. There was 4 from the city. There was 3 from Santa Rosa, 3 from Santa Clara, so we did okay. And then 1 from Newark. I don't know where Newark is, right?
Newark's it's in the East Bay. Tri-City. It's in between Fremont and Union City.
Oh, there you go. You're trying to put your city on the map, bro?
That's right. Of course.
Cool. For anybody out there that wants to get into like HeroClix, because I know we have at least like 4 players that have learned about HeroClix through the podcast. I know you're surprised by that.
No. I know. I hear.
Oh, okay, cool. I mean, what's so cool about the game?
You get to play your favorite characters, talk crap, and you get to beat other people and show them that your character is better than theirs.
The collecting of HeroClix they don't call it, Hero Crack for nothing. I mean, the collecting aspect of the game is so crazy. I mean, I don't want to say half. About a fourth of the stuff that we sell goes to people that don't play the game. These are guys that just want to buy because they like the figures, they like collecting. Charlie, I'm looking at you.
You're welcome.
I'm looking at you, Charlie.
I got my Validus.
There's a lot, and myself included. I have a bunch of clicks, and I haven't played in years.
I remember
really?
when Charlie was selling them from the back of his car in the parking lot like real drugs.
Charlie, I love you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, hey, it's a new warrior. Hey, it's a Legion character. I need these because I want them on my little display case. I haven't played in forever, but like I love the characters. So
that is why the War Light set is going to get me into all
there's
kinds
a
of trouble.
96-piece Green Lantern set coming out, and Charlie's like,
Charlie's the one that's going to buy the most cases.
It's going to be ridiculous.
I have 5 of them.
I mean, getting back to people who haven't played HeroClix, I played 1 or 2 games of HeroClix when Batman and the Outsider team came out with the Batman set or the Streets of Gotham.
Yeah, the Batman set.
Yeah, and because I love the Outsider, so I mean, I gave the game a try at the time, and I can see what the appeal in the game because you're playing with characters that you have these skill sets, you have a set way that you have to play, and it's about strategy and it's also about luck, and it's one of those things where, I mean, if I spent more time and if I had more time to invest in it, I would probably play a little bit more. But I can see the appeal and all that and fun and kind of building a team and seeing if it works and having the restrictions and all that.
It's a casual enough game that you can play one piece on one piece and just play with a friend or kid or something like that. It's easy enough. You could get big. I mean, like we have guys, Jay, who's been on this podcast a number of episodes ago, and a buddy of ours, K-Word, that they play a lot.
Yeah,
together.
John. He's always here for the AVX
They'll play
events.
like 2,000 point teams of Avengers versus Justice League, all completely comic accurate. It's not about the killer pieces. It's about the accuracy of the teams playing each other and being like, hey, let's actually fight this out. And that's that is a big part of the game for I would say a decent part of the crowd. And not everyone's out here for tournaments and stuff. A lot of people just play on the side.
Yeah, and that's another part of the attraction, You get to bring what you read and see in the comics on to actual physical play.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
I would actually say, though, anybody who's a little intimidated by the sort of min-maxing and stuff that goes on in a lot of the sort of pre-constructed tournaments, that's a large part of the reason why I do sealed tournaments. So
yes, sir.
Omar is very smart about teaming up newer players against newer players.
Yeah, because I like the sort of level playing field in terms of people draw what they draw. It's just as much luck as when you're rolling the dice at that point, and you make the best of what you get.
Totally.
So.
And to defend the gamers that are out there, a lot of them, they love the sealed for the same reason, because they feel like their constructed is just too superior, and they are so hooked on that min-max approach to the game that they just are hooked to the win. And it's kind of a bummer, but at the same time, they do love the game, but they don't know how to lose.
That's every game. That's every video game. That's every TCG. I mean, all games are like this. Every game has their metagame. Every game has their min-maxers. It's always the way it's going to be. That's why there are various formats. I mean, this isn't just HeroClix. This is every game.
Right.
Yeah. What was cool, Ryan, you pointed out how, there's a lot of home players. We actually had, minus a few dropouts, we only had about 11 players of regular players in the shop. Everybody else, that's like more than half, if you think about it, came to the shop. We had a good number of people that are in the Bay Area that I've never seen before. I play in at least 6 shops in the Bay Area, and I would say about 8 of them were in Berkeley and San Francisco. I've never met them before, so that was kind of cool. We brought The Rock was able to bring out these home players that never really played tournaments, and they did pretty well. So
I think most people were just amazed that we crammed that many people playing into this small environment. Just like we cram all of these people into this podcast.
Good times.
Right on, man.
So next year we're going to rent a little banquet hall or something like that, get 100 people.
Maybe we'll do something like that, or maybe we'll just do like
we'll just do what the coffee shop guys did. Just go over to parking lot.
Just tent the parking lot.
Just put the tables out.
That can be cool. Yeah, but we were really lucky. The weather was beautiful on Friday night.
Nice.
And we were actually, a lot of us, when the game wasn't playing, we were all outside just hanging out, just talking and getting to know each other. So, yeah, it wasn't like a casual environment. Everyone was trying to win because the stakes are high. With so much visibility on HC Realms, like, I would say that, yeah, no doubt that the prize support is huge. Like, for example, Randy, like, in all his prizing, everything that he won, it's like equivalent to like maybe $400, $500. And it's not about that. It's about really like getting that respect. It's getting that, like, putting your city on the map. We had 22 different cities represented here. So I don't know. I thought it was pretty dope.
So for all the Street Fighters out there, you go to New York to fight the champ.
That's right. I'm, for everybody who came out, congrats to all you guys. I'm just glad that I was able to hold it down over here, represent Bay Area, Friday Night Clicks, Heroes and Dice. Yeah, all you guys over here.
I was blown away too, because like this is seriously, like, for me and Randy, we do a lot of, I wouldn't say drunken clicks, but buzzed clicks.
Yeah, fun games. It's all about fun games.
Yeah, and he just seemed like he was at home. This motherfucker was like so loud. He's like, "Fuck you, Omar." I was doing all the pairings. He's like, "Fuck Omar, screw you." He was the loudest, most obnoxious motherfucker.
Eat a dick, Omar.
Yeah, he was saying all that kind of shit, and I was just like, this guy's not winning. And when he told me I just won it all, I was like in shock. I was like, you did not win it all.
I can attest to about like the end of round 4 when Randy came up to hand his sheet over so I could input everything. He was
Brock
like,
was there. Brock was there.
"Oh, is this thing over yet? I'm so tired." Like, he was having a good time, but he's like, he didn't even care. He's like,
so this is drunken clicks for him.
I don't even care. Is it over yet? And like, and
it's
you were
like a Jackie Chan movie or something.
Yeah.
You're going to be a drunken master.
Can I also give props to my buddy Chris Flores? He was an incredible player. He came from SoCal. He was number 2 in Majestics. He came up, we thought 5 rounds to be like one and done, be done around 11:30 as I advertised. He had work at 6 o'clock in the morning. So he probably was sleeping in the car and changed and then went to work. Like, because, he left at 1:30 and he had to be like, so he was on the road the whole time while he was going to. So I give you props on that, Chris. That was something I wanted to do in my write up, but I couldn't make sense of it to be on Realm. So I'm giving you props here.
Was he late to work?
I don't know. I didn't ask him, but maybe you can write us back, Chris, if you get this.
That's commitment.
There you go.
All right. Good times. Good times.
It was awesome. So, thanks to the shop for continually having us here. You know? Again, this is our, now we're in our 3rd year, and I think it's been fun.
Yeah. No, it's been great.
It's perfect for me because I learned how to play through the players in the shop that really weren't into the competitive game, and the competitive game just like drew me in. I'm just a competitive guy, and I like to be around people and talk shit. That's really what it is.
We know. So,
all y'all clicksers looking for, good gaming, so you want some competition, come to Comics Conspiracy.
Hell yeah.
What's up?
Well, we're just not built as a gaming store here, so during having open play during hours, this doesn't work. But being able to shut the store down, cover up the bins, kind of make it and set it up and work, and you're still in a comic store. You got the source material all around you. I think it's a good setup for these guys.
Going to other stores and seeing like a gaming setup, it's kind of, you get this starkness to just tables and walls surrounding you, and you're just playing on these tables. Whereas
it feels cold, right?
Yeah. Whereas here, it's like it's a little more animated. It's like you have statues surrounding you. You're standing up, which means you're on your feet. You're thinking on your feet, and I think a lot of people are actually intimidated, but actually enjoyed the fact that they were standing and playing.
Dude, you're burning calories while you're standing up. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, we got a lot more intimacy going on over here.
Yeah. our culture isn't really known to be the best in shape and stuff, and I'm not saying that in a bad way or whatever, but, standing up is a good thing.
Well, I've been here on a few Friday nights, and, just seeing the regular players that, came out from our shop that played, I think a lot of them just had a fun time and a good experience with it.
So I gotta point out Alec. I gotta give him props because like this kid, his dad is a regular here. His dad's a regular here, and he was in the top 10. And he only started playing in like a year and a half, and he only came just because his dad loved comics, got him into comic books, but he's like a really smart kid, super fucking smart. He kills me every time I play him. I hate him, but I want to give him props because he's like
by his dad and then picked up.
Yeah,
how
he's like,
awesome is that?
He's like our prodigal son. This kid, like he's like our homegrown little.
He plays League of Legends with Marshall and all that stuff. Like these kids these days, man, they're on another plane.
Yeah,
like,
it's ridiculous.
They know what's up.
How old is he?
Like 16.
Yeah, and he's whooping your butt.
Yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah, he started playing when he was like 13.
Good stuff. All right, guys, that's an episode. I think we're done.
Damn.
Randy, thank you for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
And congrats once again on the win. Are you going to Dragon Con?
I'm not. I just played for fun.
That's even worse for the guys that drove 6 hours to get here, right?
That's what happens.
You're going to get hate mail now.
We didn't talk about this real quick, but it was briefly mentioned that very shortly DC is going to be offering up solicitation info on the Future's End specials. For those who don't remember, last year DC during the month of September did a Villains Month collection of all their 3D covers of all these special one-shot books, 52 one-shot issues. They are offering the same thing here with this Future's End, which is coming up this upcoming September, but a future DC, and we don't know all the specifics yet. However, they said there's going to be up for pre-order soon. We will once again be offering the entire selection up for pre-order, 52 books. I don't know pricing yet, but we'll get it. And you can pre-order through the store, so keep an eye out for that.
No,
we'll give you more information.
I want to say one thing. Hopefully they learned their lesson from last time.
They are soliciting them months and months in advance, so there is proper time to print them all.
No, I'm not talking with printing. I'm talking with like scheduling other books to end story arcs beforehand.
I can't guarantee that.
Instead of having them chop up, because a lot of stuff that ties in with Batman got affected by Zero Year and the Villains Month and all that crap.
All I know is we've been told we're getting what we ordered. I'll believe it when I see it, but so we'll have more info on that in the coming weeks. So save your pennies. Thank you everyone for listening. Geekbox.net is where you can find this episode and all our previous episodes, as well as comicsconspiracy.biz, which I actually finally updated and put a ton of podcasts on there because I was lazy and hadn't updated.
When was the last time you updated that?
It was like a couple months ago.
Okay.
And actually, it was a few hours ago because that's when I updated it. Forums at geekbox.net. You can go there and talk to us, as well as the Facebook group on... the Geekbox group on Facebook. You can go on there. There's a bunch of people on there. It's a good group on Facebook. So go talk to those guys. You can click to join and we'll invite you in. Usually see it a few times a day, so go join us there. BroadcastconspiratorBrock.com. Omar has comics and Dekine.com. Charlie has the Infinite Long Box podcast. And, hold on, Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension or Wanderers in 4D. It's at wanderersin4d.com.
WanderinforD.com.
Wander. See, if you're Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension...
You're lost.
Why is the website Wander in 4D? Why isn't it Wanderers?
It sounded like calling it Wander in 4D would be something easier for people to remember rather than the
But
entire
it's
name.
not the name of the podcast. Why wouldn't it just be Wanderers in 4D? Okay, anyway.
Well, see, this was my master plan, just to get us talking about it more at the end of every single episode.
The Wanderers...
Why isn't it just WI4D?
Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension at wanderin4d.com. The Doctor Who podcast, in which they are watching every single episode in chronological order from 1960X and to current. That's happening. And you have many episodes to still go.
Yeah.
But I heard it is going well, and I heard there's been a special request for one Ryan Higgins to be on the podcast.
Yes, there was.
So you may have.
I've already made promises for you by the time we get to Genesis and the Daleks.
Oh, well, that's like 3 years off or something like that.
High five.
So
that was a good answer.
So
unless it's already been covered or you guys did it before, have we got time for one last question?
Yeah.
All right. If you guys could have any comic girl, who would it be?
Ah, jeez.
Is Omar asking
Toby?
this question or is Randy asking this question?
I love Randy.
Hold up. Since I asked it,
This
let me
is
go
such
first.
an Omar question.
No, this is mine because I was thinking about it, and I know mine would be Jim Lee's Fairchild from Gen 13.
Not G. Scott Campbell's? This is as nerdy as gonna get. You go like
Jim
my
Lee's.
artist style.
Not Campbell's, Jim Lee's. Specifically Jim Lee's.
I gotta say like Campbell's better.
See, I just don't answer these questions. It's like it's the who would win in a fight argument, in which there actually is an answer to that Stan Lee gave. That is, whoever wrote the comic book, whatever series it is, that's who wins the fight. So it's like I have to abstain from these questions.
This is all personal preference.
Sure.
Toby,
I have to abstain from these questions for professional reasons.
Bullshit.
I'm gonna go with no comment.
No.
Well, I'm going to answer mine, and it's like right behind Toby. Pick up that book. I got the biggest crush right now on M, or Monet Saint Croix.
Saint Croix.
Come on, man. M is just the shit. She's killing it in Wood's, X-Women book. I love it.
Psylocke's right behind him too. Sure, you didn't mean her.
No, Psylocke is more of a '90s thing for me.
Are you over Psylocke now?
No, I'm never over her. She always has a place in my heart. I'm actually more into, I would say, Enchantress.
Are you hinting at something,
Psylocke
Ryan?
Right
Psylocke?
We on the Brox's Catwoman. We know Toby's is.
Why can't he answer himself?
Because we know, and so we just
but it could be maybe something different right now that he's looking at.
Yeah,
things.
I don't know.
Don't be a bitch. Just answer the question.
Well, it's a draw right now. Can I have them both?
Sure.
All right. Throw them both.
I'd have to go with Catwoman and Harley Quinn.
There you go.
There, you're like
halfway there.
You're like Bob from Walking Dead. You have both Sonya and Maggie. You're good to go.
Sasha.
Thanks for covering me on that.
Talia.
Oh, that's a good answer. Which artist do you like with Talia? Or is it more just the characterization of just being...
It's the character in general.
He loves Raish.
That's a good answer.
And the only way to get it back at Raish is to get
Are you saying Damien is actually your child?
Oh, and by the way, can I just make a correction, Ryan Higgins? Gilliam March is still a DC cover artist.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah. After we talked about that, I saw him. He's still doing covers.
And I'm only doing that because you pressed me on it like 4 times.
I thought he was done.
It's right there in front of us. Yeah. Detective Comics.
Anyway, he's drawing more books that he shouldn't be drawing. Anyway, if you go on Twitter, you can ask us all these random questions all day you want. Maybe some of us will answer. I'm Ryan Higgins, Brock Sager. Omar is Comics and Dekine. Randy doesn't use Twitter because he's a good person. Toby is TobyXI, and Charlie is Insanity in Chaos. I think that's everything. Brock?
Are we going to have some variant cover, giant-sized, 150...
No.
Okay, just checking.
No. We will... What happened in X-Men 150? Something happened in X-Men 150. I'm sure something happened in X-Men 150. Is that the one with the big M where Magneto joins the team and he's wearing the big M suit?
I think so.
Yeah, it sounds about right. All right.
You should get Trevor to make you a 3D cover or something.
Ooh, maybe I will. Episode 150 next week. We'll be doing nothing special for it because we never do anything special here on the podcast. Every episode of the Comic Conspiracy is like a new number 1. It's an anniversary every week.
We are rejiggered every week.
Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you at 150 in 7 days.